Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Teddy. I am back here working on my programming assignments. This week we have been tasked with creating a web application that will function with Java based off of the object-oriented, programming concepts that we have been learning. So this week we were tasked with creating a greeting page that asks some users for some information. The user will input that information, and if the code works properly, the computer then should recognize that and relay that information back to them in the message that they input, giving them a confirmation that it accepted and understood the information put in there. That being said, just a quick thing before we go over what this project entirely is about. It's to create a web application that handles submissions from the users, as I had mentioned before, displaying that information back to the user, including the date that you signed. Regardless of what date you put in, it will give you back today's date. That being said, it does include any error handling for invalid dates, so if somebody decides to put in a date in the future, can't. It will only take what is a date that has passed already or today's date. That being said, we got a few imports here in our main class, our main. I'm just gonna call it our main. I don't know the proper terminology right now, but basically we have a few imports here. These are to run Spring Boot. There are a few more that are throughout the program here, including in our example greeting controller. There are examples of imports running for Spring Boot. These are required for our program to be able to access and work properly with the web, which is what we need them to do. Specifically, in this class, the purpose of it is this is the main entry point for the Spring Boot application. So that's what the submission application here is for. As you can see, it bootstraps this into the public class here, which is our public class application, and then here's our argument for it. Now, that being said, we do have an example. As you can see here, imports REST controller, enable auto configuration. More imports, as I said before, are here. The example that we're supposed to do, it's just a simple page that prints out hello world. Now, I have already completed that step as I thought it was a tutorial. However, I can show you the next step in the process that our teacher asked us to do, which is to create COP 3330 project greeting. There's some specific header font changes and stuff that the professor wanted. Those have been implemented. I'll show you the code once you run it and what that all looks like. As you can see here, moving along, this is now our actual greeting class. The purpose of this class is to represent the data that the user inputs to the program via setters and getters. The setters will set the information once the user has input it. The getters return that information back to the user. Whether the page is completely done and you filled it out and you've hit submit, or B, you've hit the clear button and it's cleared all that information. But if you hit submit, it should theoretically pull you to the next page and give you that information. As you can see here, for every getter, you're going to need a setter. So we have for ID, message, date. These are our instance variables. So we are going to break them down, and we're going to have getters and setters for all of them. As you can see here, this is the getter for the ID field, the get ID. This is the setter for the ID field, as you can see here, set ID. This is the getter for the user's message, get message, set message for the setter, get date for the date, set date for the date, and then this is an override if somebody puts something in there incorrectly. I like to debug and know what's going on. I'm sure other people would like to debug and know what's going on. So this override is in here to provide that. Okay, next we are going to go over into our greeting controller. Now what this does is it handles the HTTP requests related to the form that we are going to be getting in. Now we do have some HTML before we get to that actual form that I'm just going to go over briefly with you as well. But TLDR of this is an override that add to the ads view controllers. This is get mapping, another import. And what it does is it handles the get request for greetings. This adds a new greeting to the model. This returns the name of the view to be rendered, aka greeting.html. That is what the website URL is, if you will. That's where it's going to pull that information for that website in the HTML file, which is why I did want to show you that, so we'll get to that shortly. Here's some post requests to the greetings. So we have post mappings in here. This is the try and catches basically for anybody who puts in valid dates, like dates in the future I had mentioned, any dates that have not already come to be, or if they put it in an invalid format. We know, people off in different parts of the world will write their year, day, month in a different way. For example, in Japan, did you know that they actually write it day, month, year? So if a Japanese person who was in Japan were to come across this form, which hypothetically, I mean, realistically wouldn't happen, but hypothetically for the situation, let's say they did, and they tried to input that information that way. Well, inputting that information in that way will give them back an error message because, as you can see here, the set date format is month, day, year. Now, if I wanted to, there could be another exception that I can place in here that allows specifically the case of day, month, year. However, for all intents and purposes, this is a simple assignment. I chose to do month, day, year because I'm an American and that's how I rate my days. Anyways, so yeah, this is the try and catches for those. As you can see here, it prints out an error message and it says invalid date entered, please enter a valid date. So yeah, anytime they put in an invalid date, it will kick back them with that message. Here is a model attribute that is just adding the greeting object, basically. And then the results basically returns, you back to the results page. Or it displays the results of the page. Okay, so now we're going to move forward on our HTML here. And bear with me here, it is a lot. Now, normally when dealing with the HTML, it can be a lot of complication or it can be very simple. In our assignment, when we were originally doing the guest test page or the example.java, all it did was print black text on the white background. It was very ugly. So what I decided to do to make it a bit more presentation-like and friendly, I chose to go with something that I'm super excited about. I just got a little bit of a preview. I'm sorry about that, but I'll go ahead and pull it up in a second once we're finished talking about this. But in order to do and how make it display how beautifully we want it to work, right? You got to go in, you got to work with the HTML. Now, there's various aspects you have to work on that. I'm not going to cover that because this is a Java-based class, not an HTML class. But a brief overview, you have the head, you have body, you've got the end of the head denoted by the slash head. Here's the body, end body, and end HTML. So yeah, all this stuff you're seeing here is just formatting for how I formatted my website. So as you can see here, like this is input type reset. This is for the reset button or the clear button as I used. This is the background color of it, etc. That's a bad example on this one because I actually used images here, as you can see by the Mario button image. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so the greeting page is basically what the actual page you're going to land on is. The results HTML page looks very similar to the greeting one, correct? Well, there's a different issue on that, and there's different things on that. As you can see here, way less HTML coding, more CSS. As you can see here, the results page is just more formatting for the actual page you're going to land on. As an example, this is like the header for the greeting results. It sets the size of the header. This is the body, the background, basically. It's a gradient, and in our case, it's rainbow because Rainbow Road. This is a content wrapper that sets a minimum height requirement for any kind of like spacing in between stuff. This is for the header, indicated by H1. It tells you that it needs to be centered. It tells you the font size. It tells you if there's any text shadow to it, what the color of the font is, etc. And then here's more of the body. Very similar things, right? All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to run the code, and we're going to see nice, pretty cool stuff pop up here, right? All this information is just Spring Boot running, as you can see here. Spring Boot and their nice little ASCII image there. Spring Boot version 3.2.3 is running. Okay, so these are all of the exceptions. Now, given the instructions based on the assignment, we were told to go to localhost 8080 greeting. Now, since I already have this page up, I'm just going to cut that URL out. We're going to open up a brand new page. As you can see, it's my Google homepage. I'm going to put it in and load it, and boom, the web page pops up. That's right, I paste everything, as you saw before, off of Nintendo. Reason being is because I'm a fun and colorful person. Also, Mario Kart's coming out new Mario Kart's coming out soon. Super Nintendo Land just opened up at Universal Epic Universe, excuse me. I was gonna say Islands of Adventure, but that's not even the name of it. It's Epic Universe. But I'm a big Nintendo fan, so I chose the UI for this to be like you're experiencing Mario. As you can see here, we got some shine sprites. We got an enter and a clear button. So if I start typing in, let's say this is my ID, and then let's say I put in 06, 08. This is my birthday, and let's put it for last year, 2024. And my message is, hello, Teddy. Now we're gonna hit clear. And boom. Did not do what I wanted. That's cool, though. That's good to know. We have an error we have to fix. That's fine. And we can do that. I just tried to be a little extra over it. But as you can see, enter does the same thing. Both of the buttons do the same thing. So I will need to fix that. Bear with me here 1 second. Sorry about that, everyone. So yeah, tech accidents happen all the time. Turns out that my clear button, as I had mentioned before, was not working properly. However, I have figured out the issue. As we can see here, I have changed at a script. Basically, the functions tell specifically the buttons what to do. So for the enter button here, it now specifically tells it to enter. It removes the default form submission for this browser because apparently the compatibility is coming from, or compatibility came from the web browser itself. So to work around that, because I don't want to have to deal with that every time I have to deal with another browser, if this was working in Edge or anything like that. We are going to be pulling this up in Edge as well to make sure that it works properly displayed there. I only focused on Google Chrome because that's the browser I use majority of the time. But that being said, as you can see here, my header got removed, but that's not a big deal. Not sure what happened to it, but like I said, not a big deal. The main thing is it functions properly. I'm okay with this looking this way. It's not horribly, it's got a shadow on it, you can see it and everything. But we're just going to go through anyways to catch back up to where we were. And I put my birthday in there, I put some random ID in, and it's going to say Hello Titty. Now the first function we want to do is we want to clear it. And look, this time the clear button worked. Now let's go ahead and auto-populate all that same information in. Hit enter. As you can see here, here's the data you've entered. It says the ID that I put in. It says the date. And then here's my message which said Hello Titty. Let's go ahead and submit another one. Let's do Tommy Two-Tone. 8675309. And we'll use my mother's birthday, which is 0703. And then we'll use 2024, because I'm not giving you my mother's full birth information. And then we can say, haha, fooled you into thinking I would give you my mom's full birthday. And then we're getting, like before, boom. As you can see, Tommy Two-Tone revisited us. We got his phone number there. We have the date that we put in and the message. Haha, fooled you into thinking I was giving you my mom's birthday. Humorous, I know. That being said, let's go ahead and see if we can get this working in another browser. So let's go ahead and pull up Edge. Everybody's least favorite cousin. And we're going to go to the same page. Boom. Pulled up and work. Let's go ahead and test out the functionality. 8675309 06 08 1989. Hello world. I'm gonna do something special. Hello ground control. This is Major Tom. People know, they know. It's a David Bowie reference. And as you can see here, the functionality of submitting it works. Let's go ahead and go back and test to see if that information, all of it, will clear now. Boom. Everything looks good. Let's go ahead and check on any back-end issues here. And nope. No Spring Boot errors whatsoever. So it looks like everything in this app is functioning properly. Sorry about the tech issues and delays while I worked that out, but the beauty of the magic is that I paused it and was able to resolve those in the background. That way you weren't here for 14 years. But yeah, this is my functioning application, my handling form application. And yeah, that's it. Hope you all have a great day. Bye.